yourself on mute unless you're speaking. You're currently live streaming this meeting on the city's YouTube channel and the Lake County PEG TV live stream YouTube channel. To begin, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Pearce.
Here.
Councilmember Overton.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sluten.
Here.
Mayor Kramer.
Here. We're present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Harris. Would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation. And Mr. Jones, if you would give that, please.
No problem, thank you. Our kind Father in heaven, we're grateful this evening, grateful for the opportunity we have to meet together as staff and council members and for the public viewing and virtually. We pray that thy spirit be with us to give us strength to make good decisions for our public. We are so grateful for this opportunity and are mindful of all those who are struggling out there, especially during this pandemic. And we ask that thou would be with them, be with our government leaders, both locally, statewide, and federally, to help us know how to get through this and other challenging times. We're grateful, especially tonight, to honor Councilmember Harris for his service and welcome Councilmember Claffey on the team and pray for them. I'm grateful for their contributions. And we say these things in the name of our Son, Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Okay, as always, while we are operating under virtual meeting guidelines, I will explain our meeting procedures. Agenda items will be open for public comment before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to comment on any agenda item should email the city clerk or submit their comments through our town hall portal. Comments received will be read aloud by either myself or a staff member during the agenda item. If you are on a Zoom meeting, please raise your hand to speak and you will be called upon. And if a remote participant encounters technical difficulties, I'll ask that we continue discussing the item and the participant can rejoin when the technical difficulty is resolved. Again, if you are a participant who is not speaking, please mute your computer to prevent distractions from the current speaker. Okay, we'll move on to the first items again. On the agenda, City Manager Thor, are there any modifications to the agenda?
Only one. We'll be pulling consent item number 11 as the Christmas parade has been canceled.
All right. 11 will be removed from the agenda. So I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda as modified.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with the redaction of item 11.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Council Member Harris and seconded by Vice Mayor Sloan. So roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Pearce.
Aye.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sluten.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, we will move on now to item number 1, presentation of December's adoptable dogs. Do we have, I hope we have one that's as exciting as last month's.
Me too.
She's decorated for Christmas.
What a cutie.
Indeed.
Hello, everyone. This is Inky. He is about a year old. Best we can guess, he's shepherd and like a healer mix. He's kind of little to be a full-blood German shepherd, but we're not real sure what he is. He is neutered. He's up to date on vaccines. He's microchipped. He's a little shy at first, but once he trusts you, he's extremely affectionate and playful. He's just a little shy. He's not, when you go to pet him at first, he's a little shy. He is available for adoption. At the shelter, we are open Monday through Friday from 12 to 4. We are by appointment only. The telephone number down there is 707-273-9440. Questions?
Any questions from anybody?
Cutie.
No?
He might smell a little bit like skunk. I think we had a skunk down at down at the yard.
He's
So
definitely more affectionate with Councilman Pearce.
Yeah, I like him.
I like where you take.
I like him a lot.
Yeah,
he's doing really good. Like I said, he's real shy at first when you go to pet him. I don't know if it was.
he looks like
Last
he
owner or
is he
something.
a herding dog or is he a?
That's kind of what I think he's a little bit of healer and shepherd and maybe collie.
Like to get in there with a herd of sheep or cattle,
Yeah.
flock of sheep and herd of cattle.
So, and he's got his little Christmas sweater on. So,
Yes, he does.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Lieutenant Hobbs.
Good evening, members of the council. So update on the statistics down at animal control. So far this year, we've taken 362 dogs into the shelter. 201 or 55% have gone to rescues. 76 have been returned to the owners, about 21%. 53, about 15% have been adopted. 21 have been euthanized. So our overall live release rate for the year is just above 94%. So we're still doing pretty good. Especially comparison to some other years or other agencies in the county, surrounding counties, our numbers are really good for getting animals out back to their owners and to rescue and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll stay up. We'll still stay up pretty high for the rest of the year, but we'll finish off really good this year. So.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
And a compliment to the staff.
Yes, they do. They do a lot of work out there, spend a lot of time getting in contact with rescues out of county, other things. So they definitely do really good work down there.
Everything out there in place now or?
With the new shelter buildings, yes, pretty much everything is set up. There's a couple little tiny things that are being remedied as we speak. Well, not right now, but earlier today, tomorrow, the whole thing's being remedied, but pretty much done out there. We have moved most of the animals into the new buildings that we currently have. So really good to be where we are right now.
Vice Mayor Slotin says, pass on to the staff my gratitude. for the
I will.
great job they've done this year.
I'm incredibly grateful to have you at the helm of this thing.
Thank you.
There's been some significant improvements.
Thank you.
Are you at full capacity out there?
Staff?
Are you at full capacity out there for the buildings with the animals?
Oh, no. I think we have like 6 dogs in there right now,
Okay.
6 or 8.
And how many can we hold out there?
Well, the new buildings, we in theory have the capacity to hold about 18. And then we have some outdoor kennels that we aren't getting rid of. And then we have the roughly 12 or so indoor kennels in the big bay building that we'll use for overfill, stuff like that.
Well, hopefully we never have to use them.
No, hopefully not. So, yeah, that'll be nice.
All right, great, thank you.
Any terrier type dog there?
Terrier, there's one that maybe it might be a terrier mixed something else, but there's one. Yeah, little one.
Somebody asked me about one, and I passed that on.
It's not at the point where it could be adopted, but there is one down there that is a terrier mix.
He's not,
He hasn't made the whole time yet, so he can't be adopted yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think he's been there like 6 or 7 days, so I mean, it won't be too long, he'll be ready.
yeah. If a person is interested, should they look at it?
Yep, they just need to call, talk to either Charmaine or Matthew, get a time set up when they can go down there, view it. Obviously, we can't have everyone rushing down there at the same time, so as long as they make an appointment, if I call them the number that Officer Moretz gave, they can get time arranged to see any animal that is down there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to our presentation by Retail Strategies. Mark?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I could, I'll just briefly introduce Matt Tate from Retail Strategies. The city has contracted with Retail Strategies for just a little over a year now. So we've asked Matt to come and give the council an update on the progress. So I'm going to share my screen with a few slides.
Okay. Mayor, council, thank you for having me. Thank you for
our partnership. I've met and spoke to several of you over the past year now, and really grateful for the partnership. First and foremost, I want to start out by complimenting you and letting you guys know that we have a fantastic relationship with Alan. He paints your city in a great light. He works hard on behalf of the citizens of Clear Lake and Lake County, and I work with a lot of cities across the country, and this is one that I really look forward to because of the way it's led. So I just want to pass that along. Tonight, I'm going to jump into a year one update, just kind of a review of where we're at. We've got a lot of different irons in the fire, and I want to make sure you guys are aware of where we're at. But I also want to show you guys some of the storytelling that we're doing too, as we outreach to retailers and how we're getting beyond just, some of the everyday data that's out there and kind of the next level stuff. So feel free to stop and ask me questions. I'm going to make this as quick as I can, but I want this to be interactive if you guys need to, and we can ask questions at the end. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how you see it, right? Or how a citizen sees Clear Lake. So obviously we know the state of California, close to 40 million people. The city of Clear Lake, the estimates are about 16,000 in population. Not a bad number, not a good number. It's just the number of what it is. But what we have to do when we're going out, talking to retailers, talking to property owners, talking to potential business investments is really understand what the trade area looks like, what that whole trade area market size looks like. Some firms use just a straight drive time, some use radial rings, but one of the things that we're doing with you guys is trying to get a little bit beyond that as well. This is what the drive times could look like, radial rings could look like. You start to look at and how retailers are going to look at the market. And again, what we want to do is take how we traditionally see the market, the ones that live here, partner that with kind of how the retailers are seeing the market, and then push beyond that and go to the next level. And one way we do that is through our mobile analytics data. So what we've got here on the screen, I drew a polygon around the Walmart. And then what we're able to do is any cell phone that comes into that Walmart, we can trace that back to its origination location. So we can start to really see a true picture. Maybe a 10-minute drive time is correct one way, north, south, east, west. But when we really look at the cell phone pings and where people are coming from, you can start to see penetration from across the entire lake and around the entire lake, which I think is a fantastic story to tell, and one that we're telling retailers. It's not just a city of 16,000. It's actually a trade area market size much bigger than that. So
I don't know, maybe you aren't, could you tell us what the different colors and shapes mean?
yeah, so those are block groups, and essentially that's measuring the penetration that came from that specific block group. The darker the pink just means that's a higher penetration of people coming from there. If we zoomed out and saw a bigger picture of Lake County, maybe up to Humboldt, there might be a couple people that come and have shopped at Walmart, but unless there's a high penetration of those people, you're not going to see a whole lot of color there. This is really just to help us hone in and say, maybe it is a little bit further of a trade area to the south, and maybe up to the north, it's not as big, or, just it's a way of saying it could be 10 minutes here, 15 minutes that way. Again, just a way of really looking at it a little bit different than how a retailer looks at it from a radial ring or from a drive time trade area. But what's important is once we're able to figure out where these cell phones are coming from, is then classifying and figuring out how many people are living in that trade area. Because this is a story we want to tell retailers as well. How big of an actual trade area do we have? Because 16,000 is an okay number, but there are some retailers that need much bigger than that. And so, so this is not an incorrect number, but once we take that shape and draw that kind of outline of where these people are coming from, we're then able to see that we can study the numbers inside of that. And you can see, sorry, I'm trying to get my notes going, 62,000 people are within that trade area. Now, this doesn't mean that 62,000 people are coming to Walmart every day, but this does mean that a retailer that might look to locate near Walmart can expect that this is a trade area much bigger than just 16,000. And so that's something that's really good for them to hear. That's one of the stories we're telling. We're also looking at a projected number of 70,000 in that trade area by 2024, with a projected growth rate of 13%. We can start to study all kinds of different things in there: occupied housing versus renters versus number of people in a household. Look at the incomes, all kinds of different stuff. But this is just one one aspect of the data that we're using that I just wanted to share with you guys because I find it quite interesting as well. This one's gonna be a little bit harder to see, but I'll read some of the stuff. So once we really dive into those visits and we look, where are these people, where are they also going in the market? And when are they going to Walmart? How often are they staying? Where are they most frequent? What we're seeing is Walmart is pulling a large percentage of shoppers that live over 20 miles away. Again, not every day, but cell phones were captured from people that are living over 20 miles away. Walmart visits are found most frequently between noon and 2 o'clock. This is looking back literally the last 12 months from November to November. So 2 o'clock, noon to 2 o'clock. Visits by day, Walmart visits are spread out throughout the week, but Saturday and Friday are the most frequent. And then by month, December is the highest month and April is the lowest month. Again, going back 12 months. My favorite item to look at is the same day cross visits. So when they went to Walmart, where else did they go in the market? This is something that is really good for us as we talk to retailers and say, hey, this is clearly a pattern. This is where they like to go. A index score of 100 would be average. So anything above that means a higher likelihood. So the highest likelihood or most found penetration was at Safeway. So people who went to Walmart also went to Safeway, also went to McDonald's, Dollar Tree, Big Five, Chevron, Rite Aid, and grocery outlets. So just some interesting data there that I thought might be worth sharing. So now I really want to get into the partnership review. Are there any questions about any of that data? That's not the only data we use, but just want to give you one
What do
slice there.
you think the COVID did to those numbers? Do you think there's an impact?
Yeah, so that's kind of a city by city basis. What we're seeing across the board from a retailer's perspective, what COVID really did was press fast forward by about 10 years. Anyone that was kind of on the bubble with operations, they're probably really struggling now. Anybody that was able to add curbside pickup, omni-channel presence, stuff like that, allow people to order online, they're doing very well. Stores like Tractor Supply are through the roof right now, doing great. Wingstop is another, they're up 30% year over year. So across the board, everyone in April, every city that I talked to was slashing their budgets and saying, man, this is going to be bad. Right now, most cities that I talked to saying they're having a higher sales tax percentage return than they've ever had. So I think April was bad for a lot of people, and everyone's coming out of it saying like, well, it's actually been really good for us. And some of that depends on the mix of retail you have. Is it very service oriented? Is it a lot of haircuts, a lot of stuff that couldn't stay open, or it was a lot of fast food, again, you guys have had, I think, a pretty safe time with COVID. But that doesn't mean that's the case for everyone, but for the most part, COVID just kind of hit fast forward on most of the cities that we work with, most retailers.
Another question. When you look at the larger trade area, how big of an increase in income can you project that makes it more attractive for people to come?
That's a good question. I can look into that more in detail. It's not always about increasing the income, but that you guys would know if we stretch it more to the southwest, does that give us better income? Northeast, does that give us better income? I just didn't look before coming in here on what the difference was in income, but that's something that we can pull very quickly. And the other thing that we can do too is pick another retailer in the market as well. Maybe McDonald's has a bigger pull than Walmart. Maybe Big Five doesn't, but it's pulling from different types of households with higher income. And so we could look to see some of those things.
I would think that the type of store it would matter to different stores what that income level is.
Absolutely.
That's a great question.
Yeah, and one thing that we're also trying to do is we'll talk a little bit about some of the additional work we're doing on the airport and stuff like that. But some of the retailers that maybe are local or around the lake that we're trying to lure here, for lack of a better term, is we can put a polygon around their current location and see, are they getting a lot of pings from this side of the lake? And if not, that could suggest that, hey, if you did put an additional location here, maybe you would start to pick up additional business here, right? Some retailers have one location on the lake and they say, we're good here, everyone will follow us and find us, but that's not the case, and we've seen that in the data. So
If I could interrupt briefly, Matt, address Vice Mayor's question. As I recall, now this is last year's numbers, and even the trade area, they just recently did, redid all the numbers. So the custom trade area for Clear Lake is actually different a little bit than it was a year ago. But the income amount, if you just look at the city itself versus that trade area, goes from around 26 or 27,000 up to around 43,000. So it does make a big difference on what retailers are interested in.
We also use another, and I didn't prepare any slides on this, but we also use another element called segmentation. So this is psychographics, how people live their lives and spend their money. And what we try and do is say, there's a difference in a Target customer versus a Walmart customer, right? And so if Target plops down near all these rooftops that are more Walmart customers, that Target is still going to struggle, right? And vice versa. And so that's another element of it as well. It's not just income related. It's also the household makeup. It's also, other psychographic factors that play into it as well.
Is Target appealing to a different income level than Walmart would be?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Fancy.
Okay, so any other questions on any of that data? Again, that's just a sliver of some of the data that we're using, some of the storytelling. Now let's talk about some of the partnership review and just kind of what year one looked like. Obviously, we're kind of in the new normal right now, right? And so when we came in on the front end, we talked about going to trade shows on your behalf and outreaching to retailers. And there's a big misconception that has stopped. I do want to at least point out that in September of 2019, we went to the ICSC Western Conference show in Los Angeles. We specifically came back with great updates from 12 retailers that had differing levels of interest in Clear Lake. But we were there just for Clear Lake to talk about Clear Lake properties, talk about availability here, and start relationships. Retail Live Southwest is in Scottsdale. So if you don't know Retail Live, a lot of people know ICSC. ICSC is the biggest trade show in the country for what we do. Retail Live is kind of, it's growing and getting better. ICSC in Vegas, the big show, is three days and it's exhausting. Retail Live is 1 day, 4 hours. Everyone's in the same room and it's speed dating. And so really cool show. We are a platinum sponsor of that show as well. So there's 3 of them in the country. One of them's in Scottsdale. That's the Western show. So we were there in February and then the world, kind of shut down after that show. We were scheduled to go to the Monterey ICSC show. And that was the very first show that was closed on behalf of the effects of COVID. But Retail Live in September did the first ever digital show. That's actually an image of it. Kind of an interesting experience. I'll tell you, I was on it personally to talk about Clear Lake, and so you're on a Zoom call with 50 faces, and you say, hey, I'd like to talk to Chipotle, and they beam you into a room, and you're there with the director of real estate at Chipotle. You've got 5 minutes, no clock, and you tell them about properties that you have and where you think might be a good fit for them. They say, great, some sites coming out of this, and then you're zoomed back into this big room with all these people, and again, there's no clocks. It was an interesting experience. But all that to say, trade shows have not stopped. In-person trade shows have stopped, but there's still digital trade shows. One good thing that has come of this is retailers aren't out at trade shows. They're not constantly leaving their desks and offices. Now they're getting back to touring sites and stuff, but because of that, they're responding to emails more. They're responding to phone calls more. Just 2 weeks ago, I talked to Chipotle and they said, hey, we're still accepting sites. We're trying to find 12 more by the end of this year. If you send us any sites without a drive-through, we won't even look at them. So that was just as of 2 weeks ago. Then that's just new knowledge from us constantly being in touch and outreach with these guys. So just wanted to give that update too. The trade show world in person has stopped, but we're still able to meet and have great conversations with retailers. So when we do meet with these retailers, what are they saying? Are we getting good feedback? That's important. Our first year, my goal is really to come in here and kick up that, find out who's interested in the market. Blast out a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, go to trade shows, talk to these retailers, find out who even knows where Clear Lake is, find out what they know about Clear Lake, and find out what I could clear up and really find out are they interested in the market, are they interested in the site. So from that standpoint, year one has been extremely successful. We've reached out to a lot of retailers, had a lot of good feedback. Some of it's different, some of it was plain no, we won't go there right now. But we've had a lot of retailers that I broke into a couple of different categories. So the first one is needing a franchisee. We have 4 retailers that said we want to be there. We like the market. We just need a franchisee. So, you know, if you're listening at home, if you're here in the room talking to potential investors in the market, people that would like to step up and be a franchisee, pass the word that I've got 4 retailers that say, we'll come to that market, we'll open a store, we just need a franchisee. I've got 12 that are actively interested and just looking to find sites. So we're sending them sites. We're figuring out what their criteria is that they need. A lot of times what we'll do, and you'll learn this on the next slide, is we might find out that they're most interested in XYZ property. We then call that property owner, that broker, and we partner them together. We'll step back out of it, let them negotiate and find out, you know, what they need. If they need anything from the city, I take that to Alan and say, hey, here's where we're a little bit off. Does the city want to help incentivize or anything like that, right? So that's kind of how year 2 is going to work. There's going to be a lot more of putting sites in front of people and really trying to get some shovels in the ground. That's really the goal. So on to some of the feedback, the specific feedback we're getting. I've got a national coffee retailer who's very interested. They said, we're interested in looking at Clearlake, but not this specific location. Please send us additional sites that you have for us to consider. So this is as of 2-3 weeks ago. So we're in very hot conversation with these guys. From kind of a future interest, this is a need franchisee from a national shipping and printing retailer. Everything checks out, looks good. The site could be a good spot for a store. However, we still need a franchisee in the site selection phase in order for us to move forward. And then lastly, another retailer, national fast casual restaurant brand, said, you know, it's a great market. We just don't have distribution up there at this time. So we're looking at who might be in neighboring markets. We're looking at who might be in neighboring states. We're looking up, you know, down in Bakersfield, Southern California, and just putting feelers out there, find out who's doing what, who's willing to come this way. Any questions on any of that feedback?
Who's willing to come this way?
I'll let Alan sing that song here in a little bit.
Just in general, is there some excitement about coming here, or did people, what do you hear most of the time when you ask?
Yeah, and I think this next quote will share that sentiment the best. But I've spent a lot of time on a lot of calls. When I first started putting outreach out there about Clearlake, a lot of it was, where is that? Never really heard of that market. You know, there was a lot of that. Over the last 3 or 4 months, there's been a huge change, and I'm not taking my credit for it. There's just a change in the responses we're getting. There's more interest. We had a national gas station C-store driving the market 3 weeks ago. People are getting out. Wendy's was here. I don't want to say a bunch of names, but Wendy's was here looking at sites. People are looking at sites, and so that's a great step forward. Obviously, we all want to eat at Wendy's and we want to fill up the gas, but they've got to come out and see the site first and get that done. So the first couple of months of the partnership, I couldn't get anyone to come out to Clearlake. And so not because of work of mine, but for whatever reason, the tone has changed.
Is that because people are leaving the big metropolitan area?
I think that's some of it. I also think that our efforts mixed with other brokers in the market's efforts, you know, if just one person every 3 years reaches out to a gas station, it's not going to get the job done. But when 3 or 4 of us are reaching out, whether it's us or, like I said, a local broker, all of a sudden that guy's going to say, man, who is Clearlake? I need to at least go check it out, right? And so that's kind of been our whole philosophy is like, let's get everyone reaching. You definitely want the right hand and left hand to know what they're doing, but if a couple people keep hearing, and then we go to a trade show and someone walks up and mentions Clearlake, and they're like, man, I got to read emails from these guys. I need to see what's going on. So I think there's a lot of that, but I would say there's pretty good excitement about the market that I feel really good about.
Wendy should have bought their building back and come back up.
And
Unfortunately, it's a Mexican restaurant now. So.
Yeah. Okay, so local outreach. So we reach directly out to retailers, but we also contact property owners. And This triangle might be a little bit hard to see. That's not even a triangle, that's a pentagon. I'm on Texas time, so I'm a little tired. But that's a pentagon. In the middle, that's our logo, right? We're Retail Strategies. We lock arms with the community. We call your property owners, your brokers, your tenant reps. We call everyone and do that on your behalf. And so, even we had a couple meetings yesterday as well with some of these guys. But essentially, we're locking arms. We're doing that outreach. In doing that in this year, kind of a rundown, we've connected with over 10 specific property owners or their specific brokers. We've identified 23 retail sites and areas for outreach that we deem pretty good retail properties worth us putting some effort in. So we, as part of our partnership early on, we came out, drove the entire market, just cataloged the sites that we like, whether there was already an existing retailer there, whether it was a dilapidated building, whether there's a higher and better use scenario. We just cataloged everything so that when we go back and we hear that XYZ retailer is looking for this in a site, we can go kind of through our catalog and say, great, we've got that here in Clearlake, let's put it in front of them. So we identified about 23 sites or areas that we like. This is where I started really getting wind in my sails with my outreach. One of the local property owners and his broker recently let us know that last year they were at the point where they had a property for about 5 or 6 years, and it was just dormant. They weren't getting any responses. They weren't getting people looking for them. They were looking to fold up and get out of that asset and get out of Clearlake. And so the person reached out to me to just say, hey, because of your efforts, because of what's going on, we're now looking to take down more property here in Clearlake. We're getting more interest than we've ever had. There's a different buzz, different feel in the market. And so they're now coming to me saying, where else is available that we can buy or purchase. So again, I want to see a retailer here as bad as anyone. Alan makes sure that I go that way as well, but we're on the right path. We're on the right roads. People that have already made an investment are talking about reinvesting in the market. I think those are great signs. So I want to show that. And then the retail timeline. So Dirk, I'm sure you're going to be pretty familiar with this, but the retail timeline is a tough one. Retailers drive the decision. Only a small percentage of proposed sites equal new openings, and it's a long process, but it's all about profit. So this is just an example of a retail timeline. It starts with investors, right? So a retailer, especially a national retailer, the way that they make Wall Street happy is by either increasing same-store sales or increasing their footprint. The easiest way to do that is to increase their footprint, because increasing same-store sales can be difficult. So that means that in order to please Wall Street, they're going to go look for sites. A lot of times then the real estate director gets introduced and kind of puts a plan together and says, here's where we're going to go look for markets. Here's where we're going to go look for sites. Go team and go do that. They identify those markets. They start to find local tenants to reach out and who know the market. They identify the sites they like. The tenant reps present sites to the real estate director. Then a pro forma is done to see if they can make it all work. Then they sign a letter of intent. Real estate, it goes to real estate committee for one last, do we, yay or nay, are we good on the site? Then we get the lease signed, the developer involved, and then we have a grand opening. So it's an extremely long process. Typically could take 18 to 24 months. Like I mentioned, this is not something that's foreign to you specifically, but I just want to share that timeline that with all these retailers, they have a slightly different timeline, but what our goal is, again, kick up dust, figure out who's doing deals. If Chipotle tells us they're doing 12 more deals this year, they're going to assess 10 to 15 sites for each one of those that they're going to open. So they're going to at least assess 1,200 more sites by the end of this year. Our goal is to get to be one of those 1,200 and to really make it show that, hey, this is the path of least resistance here. This is the most similar to sites you have here, here, and here where you've done deals before. So just want to give you guys a little bit more of that clarity as well. 2 more slides and then I'll get out of here. But we're also working on a big project, the future Downtown Clearlake. I don't think we have a name for it necessarily yet, but what we're doing here is looking at your market from a different lens. So we've got the national retail aspect. We're going to look to try and bring retail to the corridor. But we know every city, the most important part is the downtown is where you get the character, the charm. That's where you really set yourself apart from other cities in the area, other cities on the lake. And it's really just where you start building a brand of Clear Lake or building a backup or whatever, however you want to term that. But through our work here, in October, we were here, we did a stakeholder session. I think some of you were here. We invited as many local investors, businesses to come and really help give feedback of what the future downtown of Clear Lake should look like. So that's well underway. In January, there's going to be a presentation back to Alan, but essentially what we're looking for is to apply Main Street principles to a location here in Clear Lake to help increase walkability, make it, once COVID's clearer and safer, make a place where people want to be walking on the streets, want to be shopping and spending money and just spending time. So that's kind of what we're doing with that downtown piece. It's much different than attracting national retail. It's more focused on that placemaking. And then another additional item that we have is the Pearce Field development. So we have a sister company called RAM Development. We are in the preliminary phases of helping develop this former site. We know that this is a huge wish list item. It's just a big deal for you guys, I know, and for the city. And so we take this very seriously. What we're currently doing right now is putting together some concepts and just some ideas of what the layout could look like. But more importantly, we're trying to find retailers that are interested. Our goal here is to make this a place, a local place. It's featured with local anchors from the community, and then maybe put some out parcels along Highway 53 with some of those national retailers that have told me they're interested. So we're really in the planning phase and just kind of the recruitment phase of trying to find retailers that are interested. But just wanted to give you guys an update on that as well. And then the new normal. So the world stopped, but we're still industry experts. We're still doing all kinds of webinars. Alan was featured on one with us with ICMA as well. We're just always trying to bring new knowledge, share. What are ways to expand restaurants right now? How can we clear the parking lots and put a shade structure in there? Maybe a snow structure in there now for winter, right? But always trying to look at different ways to be industry experts, provide information back to Alan and the team to just kind of load up the local community with just thoughts and ideas of how to keep on moving forward. So that's where I wanted to end. I'll ask if there's any questions and happy to kind of provide any answers I can give.
No, I think.
If somebody from this area wanted this information, they just have to contact you, or they contact the city, or how would somebody get this information if they wanted it?
Yeah, I think typically they go through Alan, and Alan would reach out to us and say, hey, we need some data on this, that, or the other. That's probably the most efficient way. But I'm happy to respond to any type of outreach.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, what the sort of rhythm that Matt and I got into is that I usually try to be involved initially just to show some city support, and, communicate how interested the council is in seeing investment, job creation, and so forth. And then once there's sort of interest established, Matt and his team, it's not just Matt that's working on our market. There's other members of that team. Elliot Cook actually spends a lot of time on our account as well. But anyway, and then they work directly with the investor, the business owner, the retailer, and then bring things back to us.
So we met with pretty much all our local realtors and let them know this information is available and stuff like that. Have they all been contacted on that kind of stuff?
I would say all of them that are doing commercial deals, we do. I mean, Dave Hughes obviously does a lot of the stuff in town. We meet with him fairly regularly. We met with him yesterday. But there's some other folks as well that do deals that we're sharing information with. And I mean, yeah, we're not trying to exclude anyone. We're trying to make sure that everyone knows this information and the folks that are interested in investing here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worth saying, and if there's anyone out there listening on a specific that this pertains to, we're free help to brokers that are looking to attract retail, that have a specific location. That's our goal, is partner with them, find out what they have available, and then see if we can't help bring some leads to them to then go ahead and work their deal. I'll also say, I didn't show it, but and Alan alluded to it, we're updating our marketing flyer. We've got a one pager that Alan has at his disposal as well. If anyone local would like some data on the community, any businesses want to see some of the numbers and have that as there, maybe consider expanding or adding another location or something like that. That's all available as well.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
You're also looking at infrastructure then now, utility availability down in your planning or?
As far as at the airport site, or that's something that we just had that in a pretty good conversation yesterday. Looking at, it just kind of depends on which way we go with the development. If it's something that, how much site work is needed, what type of tenant improvements are needed from that specific retailer. But that's all stuff that was in our package yesterday.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, Matt, we really appreciate this update and get out there and get us some scores.
All right. Well, appreciate everyone. Thank you again.
Thanks, Matt.
And feel free to have Alan reach out to me if you guys have any questions on anything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have one more presentation. This one that Angie's been waiting for. Let me go on down to the podium.
Would you like me to join you?
I would like to.
No, you can't.
You can bring some pins if you want.
We don't have that bucket anymore.
No, we don't.
We lost our pins.
Well, the day has come. We were taking bets whether you would show up and whether you would be in the shorts. You fool us, and I appreciate it. Phil, it's been an honor for me to work with you. I've enjoyed every minute of it, some minutes more than others. Your insights have been very valuable, and I appreciate it a lot. So, Bill Harris, City Council 2016 to 2020, Vice Mayor in 2018. Appreciation, City of Clearlake. Thank you so much.
Do we get a picture, Mark?
Over here.
Yeah, two of them going.
It's too late now, you can't take it back. It's over.
Go ahead. A few words.
Yeah, few words. So I'll take a moment just to say how much I appreciate all the votes I received from our community and the faith that they instilled in me to effectively lead our city. And I would say that the city staff, in conjunction with my team on the council over the last 4 years, we've all gotten to collectively see an improvement in our community. And I see we are on a trajectory, a successful trajectory, and we're headed somewhere great. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for somebody like David Coffey, who was voted in, and he'll be coming up here shortly, to take my seat on the council. Very motivated individual, and I'm very happy to see him take the torch as I pass it. So thank you all for the time that you've allowed me to hang out with you, and I'm proud of what we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Angie, for letting us have him for
You're very
4 years.
All right, do I stay up there or go?
No, what's the process here?
Oh, we gotta swear him in.
You still got it. You still got it. You still got a
A
vote.
couple more minutes.
Okay. All right, now we're moving on to our first business item, consideration of acceptance of the November 2020 election results. Resolution number 2020-60. Mr. City Manager, Ms. Clerk, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and council members. The election for 3 city council seats was held on November 3rd. 3 qualified candidates ran for office in that election, and tonight staff is recommending your council accept the election results by resolution and seat council members-elect David Claffey, Joyce Overton, and Russell Purdock.
Okay, are there any questions? Council? Staff? Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on that?
I do not see anyone's hands raised in the Zoom meeting. Oh, wait. 1 second, we do have one person. Jordan Stark, go ahead and unmute yourself if you're speaking on this item.
Okay.
Jordan, go ahead.
Apparently she doesn't want to speak on this.
All right. So is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Nope, seeing them.
Okay. No public comments. Public comment is closed. Are there any comments before deliberation? Okay, any comments, no questions? We'll move on to a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2020-60, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake reciting the facts of the general municipal election held on November 3rd, 2020, declaring the results and such other matters as provided by law.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin and very quickly seconded by Councilmember Harris. May we have a roll call, please?
All right. Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
And for the last time, Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin
Aye.
and Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you again for your service.
You cannot leave.
Get out of here.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you. I'll still be around.
All right.
Can't get rid of me that easily.
Thank you so much.
You know, you can't get rid of me. Later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Very good hang out with you guys. God bless you. Thanks. Congratulations. God bless you. Thanks, Phil. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Angie.
The meeting's not over yet.
All right, move on to item number 5, administration of oath of office to our newly elected council members. So we
Go there.
turn that over
So we
to,
could have the 3 of you come forward. All right, so what I will have, when I go to you guys,
Go that way.
here, I can put my,
Awesome.
okay. So what I'll have you do is raise your right hand and repeat after me, and after I say I will state your own name, okay? So I state your name,
Aye.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of California
and the state of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of California,
of the state of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any reservation
or purpose of
or
evasion,
purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
if I could have you come sign your oath. So, Russ, and then David, and then. Ah, thank you.
Not yet. First. Now you did.
And he already has a sign. You already have a nameplate.
Okay. Now move on to public comment. Public comment will be accepted via email and through the city's town hall portal prior to the start of the meeting. Each public comment emailed to the city clerk will be read aloud by the city clerk for up to 3 minutes or will be displayed on the screen. Public comment email from town hall submissions, which are received after the beginning of the meeting, will not be included in the record. Any member of the public viewing the meeting on Zoom wishes to speak, please click raise your hand button on your screen. Prior to going to our public comments, I think we have an introduction. Mark, let's step up here.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Mark Roberts, the city's new senior planner, and so he's just wanted to say a few words of the council.
Good evening, everybody. I was thinking it was morning already. Just want to introduce myself. My name's Mark Roberts. I'm the new senior planner. I used to work for the county since 2014, so I have over 6 years of experience living up in the county. And prior to that, I was working with Fish and Game, doing various environmental studies, kind of assisting throughout our coastline. And then I was grateful to get an opportunity to move up here and work my way up through the county. And then I have this new opportunity to come work with the city and bring my experience and work on projects and better our community.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Excited to have you.
What was that?
I just asked any questions for Mark?
Gonna have a lot of jobs. So.
Hopefully we keep you busy.
We want to keep you busy.
Well, sure, Alan will keep you busy.
We'll have limited time for beer, I think.
That's the weekends.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mark. All right, we'll move to public comment. Madam Clerk, do you want to read the one from Barbara Chrisowitz or?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can read the comment. We did receive one comment via email from Barbara Chrisowitz. I've also put a copy of her email, and she submitted some photos with her comment, which is available to you. So her statement says, the section of Burns Valley Road behind Pomo's school playground has no homes for several blocks. The section of street is even with Vista, Palica, Mountain View, and Pomo streets. This section of street is an isolated section and a magnet for dumping trash, cars, boats, motors, tires, carcasses, you name it. Dumping happens there weekly and sometimes daily. When this portion of roadway was blocked off, dumping nearly had ceased. Please use some of the white barriers from down the street on East Lake Drive to block the 3 entrances on this portion of street as well. I predict it would make a huge difference in the cleanliness of this area. Thanks for your consideration. And then she sent a second email, which added, I'm suggesting the city of Clear Lake close this stretch of Burns Valley Road like it was several years ago. When it was closed, people did not dump there, and the residents who lived close to Acacia Street used Acacia Street to exit their homes. And that concludes Ms. Christ's statement.
Thank you.
And then, I also believe we have someone on the Zoom meeting who wishes to speak.
Okay.
I believe Jordan Stark wishes to, yes, okay, so go ahead and unmute yourself, Jordan, and you can speak. Jordan? If you'd like to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go. We can't hear you speaking. Jordan, are you unmuted? Okay, and Jordan, unfortunately, we can't hear what you have to say. If you'd like to, or not. Okay, so we also have Bruno Sabatier who's raised his hand. Okay, go ahead, Bruno.
Good evening, Council. Thank you very much for allowing us access via Zoom. I'm going to speak up for Jordan Stark, who was trying to say a statement. I did hang out with the group of constituents out on, it was 37th and Canocti, right near the edge of the town limits or the city limits near the landfill. They brought myself and Mayor Kramer out to visit the area to see the amount of abandoned vehicles, the amount of the size of a very sizable encampment of what seemed to be transients out there, and also a few areas. We've seen worse, but it was still not a very pleasant visual of illegal dumping happening in the area. And so this was a group of neighbors that got together and invited us out there and offered to, or were requesting to do a public comment and to come to the council and discuss the area. And they were hopeful that it was possible for a future agenda to have a more in-depth discussion as to what the council might be able to do to help them out to keep that area clean. They're very worried about fires. We did see some sewer coming out of the RVs and into broken pipes and broken systems with what also looked to be a stream going down into the avenues. I don't know exactly what that stream is, but it looked like at least a stream bed of sorts. And firewood in the area. They run generators at night from what we were told by the neighbors. So again, they were looking to approach the council and discuss this situation and see if it was possible to have a longer time period to discuss back and forth with the council. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to help them out since they seem to be not able to unmute and be able to connect properly. So again, thank you very much for the time. And welcome, Mr. Claffey.
Thank you. I did go out with Supervisor Sabatier yesterday and actually took a few photos if you're interested in seeing what he's talking about.
Out there.
We did also talk with code enforcement officer who they are working on it. They're also working on 2 other sites that are worse down there. So it's going to be a process. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, any other?
There are no further hands raised in the Zoom meeting, and I haven't received any further emails or anything on the town hall.
Okay, then. Being done, we'll move on to consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council or audience requests otherwise, or staff has requested a change under adoption of agenda, in which case the item will be removed, as was the case with item 11, for separate consideration. Any item so removed would be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. Again, item 11 has been pulled just pulled altogether. So, are there any items, council, that you would like to see pulled?
No, sir.
Sure. Councilman Cloudy, Councilman Overton, Member Overton. Madam Clerk, does the public have anything that they want to?
We do have one hand raised to speak on an item.
Okay. Let them speak.
Okay, Mr. Gelati, you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, hi. I wasn't sure if, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I wasn't sure if you were going down the list. My partner, Owen O'Donnell, actually is online, and maybe we could unmute him as well. We just wanted to discuss an email that we sent earlier this morning. I don't know if that was received by the City Council.
Who was it sent by?
So maybe I could provide some assistance. So there was an email that was sent to the city clerk. Our understanding was that they may want to discuss this item, but we could either have them talk or read the email. But it's related to item number 12 and a specific zoning issue related to their property. So, hear what they have to say and then decide whether you want to pull it and take separate action or just pull it and have a discussion about it.
Can you explain what it is?
Yes. Do you is it possible for you to unmute Owen O'Donnell as well, please?
I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Owen.
Yeah, when I sent an email, did you all see the email?
No.
No, we didn't.
What?
I have not seen the email, Mr. O'Donnell.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
They have not seen the email, Mr. O'Donnell.
All right, they haven't. Well, let me explain. First off, I'll say that the property involved is just east of the dirt road that's Burns Valley Road. So it fronts on Arrowhead and it's just east of Como School. The property on the other side of the dirt road was acquired by the school district about 4 or 5 years ago, probably with the intention of expanding the school. What we have done is acquired the property in June, but it took, believe it or not, 15 years to complete the transaction. What we think you should be doing, because of the fact that the property is next to a school, which under the principles of good planning means that you should do high density near infrastructures, roads, shopping centers, schools, and other things, so that you cut down on vehicular traffic and you get people to walk or bike or do other ways of getting to their locations. What you are doing in this proposal is changing the density for our property from 10 units an acre to less than 1 an acre. Actually, it's 1 1/4 is the minimum size of the lots. I actually think under the circumstances that good planning would dictate, because of the nature of the location of the property and the fact that there are residential areas with single family homes and small lots to the south and to the west, that you ought to leave the zoning as RP and not change it to RR. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you like.
We had also requested, well, and I just want to point out, Mr. Flores, I know you've been really busy, but I was referred, I sent you an email back in February as well as in June to discuss this property and some ideas that we have, for investments in Clear Lake. But I know you've been busy, and with the pandemic, I've never heard back. And I think there should be some conversation of what we can do to make a positive impact for the city of Clear Lake. And I think that's something we should discuss.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Then I'd like to, at this point, because this is a consent item, I'd like to pull that item and set it off the side till after we have a consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Overton.
I'm just pulling
Yeah.
that. So, yeah.
Okay, are there any other items that anybody would like to pull? Okay. Seeing none, I'll introduce a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of item number 12, which will be addressed after.
Like to so move that, Mr. Mayor?
I said it would be 11 and 12.
11 and 12.
11 was already.
I'll second that.
I think new Councilmember Coffey has already beat you to it. A motion has been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Coffey. Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Councilmember Clappy,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sluten,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. So we'll now move into item number 12.
So may I suggest, is this an item that needs to be voted on tonight? Because it sounds like there might be some other communication that you might need to do.
Well, if I could, Mr. Mayor, so I apologize if I missed any emails from these gentlemen, but so the action before you tonight is actually the second reading of the zoning ordinance, which includes the zoning map. Now, I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. So, I mean, you can see from this, I mean, so the Resource Protection District is what this property and a number of other properties were zoned. And, as we discussed with the council and planning commission and so forth, over the last, year or so, that district is eliminated. There was we didn't feel like there was a good reason for that district. Even talking about having a resource protection district that allows 11 units per acre in and of itself does not make any sense. But, I zoom out on this map to show you a little bit that there was a conscious choice, which started with our zoning ordinance ad hoc committee to rezone a lot of the large lots in the perimeter of the entire city as rural residential, larger lot type development. I mean, even the issue that was brought up earlier by Supervisor Sabatier about, we know about some of the encampments and other things where there's parcels that have been subdivided and that have largely been abandoned by the property owners and are attractive for illegal dumping, other illegal activity, is a reason why this was never a good idea to begin with. And so that was the intent behind this. Now, I think generally speaking, some of the issues brought up about higher density development around the school or other things, makes a lot of sense. This situation is a little bit different with the available infrastructure in that area, as I'm sure all of you know. It is not ideally suited at this time for a lot of intense development, in my opinion, although that may be the case. And so, we could stall this. You could choose tonight to change the zoning on this property to something else if you wanted. However, based on a similar request at the last meeting, I would just remind the council of that. And my recommendation at this time would be to sort of present the same stance that the council took at that request, which is you don't have a developed plan at this point. We're interested in development here. We're happy to help you come up with a plan that makes sense for your investment and the larger community, but work with us to put that plan together, and you can always bring a rezone request back along with that project at a future time.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
Me too.
I think the rest of it's probably were as well. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on that?
Kind of a last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse me, sir. We've been dealing with this update on for months, years actually. So I think we need to just move on.
Can I say something, or as Owen mentioned earlier, I understand you've been dealing with this, and we've been dealing with this for over 10 years now, and if we had an opportunity this year to have a discussion and put our heads together, I think it would have been very helpful, but it's been hard to hear back given obviously the situation. And so what I'm requesting is that we have that conversation, have that engagement, and figure out what we can do before you guys move forward, because we had made this investment with the different intent over the many years and weren't really informed of the zoning rechange. So hopefully we can maybe in the next couple of weeks, talk about this and figure out what's the right way of proceeding before we make a decision.
Any comments? Councilmember Overton?
Okay, so just out of curiosity, how long has this been at the planning department stage? How long did they discuss this?
Well, I mean, the work started on this before I ever started with the city, so it's been
Several years.
Probably at least 3 years.
Okay, so during those several years, sir, you had opportunities to go to the planning commission and talk to them about your zoning per se. So it's not just been since the COVID virus. It's been being talked about for quite some time.
No, I understand that. But as Owen mentioned, we've been in, it's taken us 15 years almost to get this property. And we have tried to have a discussion about this. I was actually referred to Alan Flores in February. I sent an email. I've left a couple of messages also in June, but we haven't had the audience yet for whatever reason. So it's not like we haven't tried to work with you, but here we are at the meeting, last minute, and having a conversation with you because we haven't had a chance to talk about it sooner because we haven't heard back from the city.
So my suggestion is as our city manager has said, things always can be changed. Nothing's set in stone that can't be changed. Work with him on your plan and stuff, and then take it back to the planning commission to have it rezoned.
Well, I have a question about that. I used to be a land use lawyer. And one of the things that is a no-no in planning is spot zoning. And if we're only talking about changing the zone on our 13-acre parcel, does that not run the risk of violating that rule?
I guess that's an attorney.
Well, I mean, I can quickly address this. I mean, spot zoning is a thing that gets thrown around a bit, but I mean, it all depends on what type of zoning you are looking to do in that area. I mean, if there's a multifamily housing development that is envisioned, you can see that there is a multifamily housing zoning right across the street to the south. So I think there's a number of options without running into any type of spot zoning issue.
Let me also point out something. In your RR zone that you're proposing, what you're saying in effect is that you want to maintain it so that it has a rural character with ag uses. and it's a transition between residence and ag. Permitted uses are agricultural products, livestock, poultry raising, fur-bearing animal raising. Conditional uses included daycare for adults and children, community care, resource extraction, energy development, kennels, greenhouses, and a vet hospital. I submit to you that most of those activities are not appropriate next door to an elementary school. And under that circumstance, I think changing this to RR with all of those permitted and conditional uses doesn't make a lot of sense.
It also seems that you haven't had a chance to read the email. And is it any way possible for us to have some discussion about this in the coming weeks before the city council makes a decision for reasons Owen has just mentioned, and you haven't had a chance to review the information in the email either?
Actually, it's my opinion, and we have been, this is at the end of the whole discussion that we've had over the past several meetings. Now you're just coming to us at the last minute. To me, the RR zone, as City Manager Flores said to you, it is something that if you have a plan, which you apparently don't yet have, that bring that to the city, bring it to Mr. Flora, bring it to, potentially to the Planning Commission. It can be addressed then. I don't see where you've made much of a compelling argument, given the time that this subject has been on the table and discussed and rediscussed.
We haven't even gotten a call back.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I don't think that at this last minute that I'm all that empathetic to your request. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I think there's avenues for you to be able to address this and perhaps change the zoning on your property when you have a plan. This zoning covers a lot of area in the city. There's a lot of work been put into it, and it's been discussed and rediscussed for months.
But sir,
it's time for us to move on.
Sir, we have been trying to reach out since February of this year and have not gotten a call back.
Yes.
Can I ask?
Excuse me, sir. There were public hearings on this issue, July 28th, August 25th, September 22nd of this year. This zoning update has been in the works since I was at the Planning Commission, which is now at least 3 years ago. So as far as I'm concerned, you're a little late to the table. But I'm sure there is ways to, if you have a project that you want to discuss with the city manager and the planning department, that they're more than willing to talk to you.
Can I ask a question? Has anybody talked to the school district?
Yes. They were part of the initial discussions when we did the zoning update, sir.
All right.
I think we need to move on.
As do I. Are there any other public comments?
There are not, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we'll bring this back to the council for deliberation and action.
Just a comment. I mean, we literally have worked on this since either you and I were on the planning commission. This has been in the works for over 3 years.
Councilmember Overton?
No, I agree. I mean, we've been trying to get these zoning things done since I've been on council. So we're talking 16 years, that this started many year ago. So I'm sorry that he feels like he didn't have the opportunity, but I think, I know that I understand that I think he's just acquired the property, even though he's been working on it for 15 years. So I can understand his frustrations also. But as our city manager said, he can come back with a plan and they can take it to the planning commission and follow that suit. So I do believe that we should just go ahead and move on.
Councilmember Cluffy, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, as many of you have stated, there are avenues. After this vote, there are avenues to address this. And this council and the city, I think, have a very favorable view on development, and I think it can be a good conversation. So I would suggest moving forward, and allowing them to go through those routes.
Thank you. Councilmember Furlong, nothing?
Only to echo the sentiments already stated.
I will entertain a motion.
I move that we hold the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 248-2020, and amendment to chapter 18 of the Clear Lake Municipal Code, repealing and replacing the zoning ordinance. We'll hold the second reading by title only and waive further reading and adopt ordinance.
Second.
Motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin and seconded by Councilmember Furlong. Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Cluffy.
Aye.
Councilmember Furlong.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slivin.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. All right. We'll move on to item number 16. Consideration of city council co-signing a letter with the city council of Lakeport and Lake County Board of Supervisors regarding the recent changes to the state's COVID-19 restrictions. One update to this is that the city of Lakeport has chosen not to. By the way, information, you were probably going to say that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't have much of an update, or much of a report to give. The Board of Supervisors a few weeks ago sent this letter to the governor, and this is when we were in the sort of on the cusp of entering the purple tier, and Supervisor Sabatier reached out to both the cities and asked if we'd be interested in, kind of co-signing or sending a similar letter to the governor. And so I consulted with Mayor Kramer, and he thought that we should bring it before the council and have a discussion about what you may want to do. Of course, as you all know, the situation has changed dramatically since that time. But anyway, that's why it's before you. And then the Lakeport City Council did talk about it. I guess it was Tuesday. And they decided, because of the changing situation, maybe some other things, that they didn't feel like there was a need to send it. But certainly the council could if they would like.
They were sympathetic to a lot of what it said, but again, it's a moving target, was I think their comment on it. And it's definitely moved to a lesser spot. So
I think the only other thing I wanted to mention was, as you all know, Supervisor Spatier does a lot for the city in his role on the board. And so at his request, I think it makes a lot of sense for the council to at least consider this.
And I think we might hear from them on that. Are there any questions, council? We'll open it up to the public. Maybe I was wrong.
We do have Bruno Sabatier who wishes to speak on here.
You're on, Supervisor.
Thank you very much, council members, for putting this on the agenda. I will agree with the city of Lakeport that with the moving target, that while the letter I still feel was the right move for the time, it definitely is a different situation that we're dealing with. The overall gist of the letter was to request that we seem to have an ever-changing strategy that we have to keep up with, that our businesses need to keep up with. And the letter was requesting that we go back to looking at a total of 3 weeks rather than being able to change from one tier to another at the drop of a dime. That is still a potential if we eventually go down to red or yellow, that we can bounce right back up to purple. I know that we've seen that happen to some of the other counties surrounding us. But yes, our situation is different, and a letter even yesterday might be a different letter today. So next time I will be quicker to get you any letter, any future letter, as I think that a unified voice of Lake County is more powerful, especially when looking to request something from the state. But again, I thank the council for taking up the letter, and I look forward to hearing what your discussion is, similar to the discussion that I heard over from Lakeport. Thank you.
Are there any other public comment?
No one further has raised their hand on the Zoom meeting, and I have not received any other comments from the public on this item.
Okay, being none, then I'll close public comment and bring it back to council for deliberation. And Vice Mayor Slotin, you have your pen up.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with Lakeport at this point. It's a moving target. I mean, if I look, I heard part of the governor's speech this afternoon where they have the, 15% plus hospital rooms available, then we have to go into a total lockdown almost. So it's a moving target. Couple of comments, I looked also at there are 995 cases in the county at this point, and we have 21 fatalities. I mean, we have to be careful, and I still see certain businesses in town with no masks, no signage, which worries me. I think it's a mute issue, this letter.
Okay. Any other comments?
I feel the same.
No action.
I would agree that this letter 2 weeks ago was probably a little more meaningful. Today, the situation is as City Manager Pearce has changed dramatically. I don't think we could support this letter. And at this point, I would. So, I guess I'll ask for a motion, and if there is none, it'll die. Seeing no motion, recommendation, consideration items. Move on to item number 17. Consideration of resolution number 2020-62, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake approving a hiring bonus and referral incentive program.
Yes, Ms. Swanson is going to present the staff report.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor and council members, for your consideration tonight, staff is recommending approval of a hiring bonus and referral incentive program policy. In 2019, your council approved such a program for police officers, and staff is asking that your council approve a policy which would give the city manager the authority to approve these recruitment tools for other hard-to-fill positions. As a brief overview of the policy you have before you, recruitment incentive options include one-time hiring bonuses, employee referral bonuses, relocation benefits, and vacation and sick leave accrual benefits. Upon recommendation by the department and concurrence of the Administrative Services Department, the city manager can approve one or more of the incentive options. The proposed policy identifies procedures to maintain consistency and a path for checks and balances for the program, along with limitations on payouts of accrual benefits and the application of state and federal tax regulations. And I can answer any questions if you have them. That is my report.
Are there any questions?
So before we move on, just real quick wrap up on that. I mean, I think, we had what we would consider probably limited success with the police officer incentives that were put in place. But a lot of times, these positions are hard to fill, as you know. Sometimes you have a small window to do it. And so our hope is that, whether you want to make changes to this recommendation or not, that there's a set of parameters that I have the authority to move more quickly on so that we don't let highly qualified candidates kind of slip through our fingers. So
Another tool in your toolbox.
I like tools, yeah.
Any Councilmember Bruno.
I just think in today's recruiting environment, this is a necessary evil and we should allow it. So I support it.
Other comments or questions?
So we didn't have that much success with the police department, correct? I mean, it wasn't a big thing. You feel that this is going to be a better fit to be able to hire the people we need in the city?
Well, I think, and I don't know if Chief White wants to talk about the experience specific to police officers. I wouldn't say that there was no success related to it. I think so many of these things are situational. But, maybe Chief White, you talk about the experience related to it. I mean, it definitely has been mixed, but I think there certainly are situations where some extra incentive would make the difference.
Yes, sorry, so just to add on, well, we didn't see a huge amount of increase. We did get a hire out of it, and as you know, every hire counts, and that's going to be a police officer, hopefully completed with training here very soon. As the city manager mentioned, I think the biggest part is that we have flexibility to react. A good example is last month, it became apparent that we were going to need to quickly fill another dispatcher position. And so being able to have this and kind of analyze what we have with the budget, et cetera. So that's kind of why we're trying to take it in as the Administrative Services Director mentioned, is try to have uniformity citywide. Because if you recall, last year it was actually a temporary thing that expired at the end of the budget year. And then now it's time to take it and make it more citywide. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Councilmember Coffey.
Yeah, I think one thing to remember about this is that if we don't hire anyone, it doesn't cost us anything, right? This is an incentive, and when we have success, we're filling a very valuable position. So I'm all for this. There's two suggestions that I might make. One, and in total, I love all of this. The two suggestions, one, when it comes to employee referrals, right now, I believe it's split between the date of hire, and then the second installment comes 12 months after the date of hire. I would just recommend shortening that a bit. I think I did a kind of an informal survey of some companies, and it ranges from 60 days to 6 months. I think I appreciate your eagerness to be financially conservative, but we're asking our employees to make recommendations that are really outside of their task, and I want to reward them for that because, like I said, these are valuable positions for many folks. The other thing might be a little bit more tricky, but there seems to be a lot allocated towards relocation expenses, and I'm all for that. The only stipulation I would like to have in there is to have it be tied to Clearlake. So if we have a candidate coming in, I would much prefer them staying at the Best Western as opposed to Twin Pines. So something along those lines, I would like to see, but you get your comments.
Okay. Any other council member?
I know this was a question before of telling people where they can stay. Is that a question on this if we were to do something like that? We were told we couldn't do that before. That you can't force somebody to stay in a particular place just because that's where you wanted to stay. So
You can't tell an employee they have to live in a certain geography unless there's like a critical thing, like maybe a police chief. But in terms of where they stay, I think it's just really temporary, right? I mean, in theory, you could. It's a little bit. I think maybe there's a little concern there of making it look like you're making preferential treatment for locals, but
would it be something that could be worded as so it'd be while they're going through transition, correct? So I guess if we're paying directly to the facility that they're staying at, then that would be our choice. If we're giving it to them, I don't feel like we can make that choice. So how do we pay it out when it comes to, do we pay directly to the hotel or wherever, let's say they stayed at the cottage or something like that?
I think this is set up to be a reimbursement to the employee.
Okay. So if we're reimbursing them, I don't know if we can, I have a question about that, that's all. So kind of feel uncomfortable telling some, I mean, I'd like to, but I think there might be, I just don't feel like we can. I just think that's something that if we're reimbursing them, they have the right to stay wherever they want. I feel like we're doing some stepping over the boundaries of our authority. So unless we're paying directly to, now we have paid directly to a place, and then we could say, we'll pay if you stay here. Then we just pay directly to them. Then I feel like I'm comfortable doing that. But I'm not comfortable doing if we're reimbursing them, telling them where to stay. Suggestion, yes. But enforcing, no.
Vice Mayor Slug.
I think that it's going to get complicated if you start doing that. But I do think that the other suggestion that Councilman Clappy did, that the referral bonus get paid out sooner, I think that would be a good idea.
The referral bonus, if I may, the referral bonus is set up at 12 months because that is when an employee ends probation. At least for the administrative side, the police department probation is 18 months, and on the admin side, it's 12 months. But
So if they don't make it through the probation period, then they.
I have a question, Ms. Chief. Would it be easier, more effective if that referral bonus was shorter time frame or not? Because I think it's going to mostly affect your department.
This resolution is not worded.
No, I know. It's going to be mostly.
To answer your question, I may have come up with that when we were talking about it. I think from the department perspective, if the council is willing to make it shorter, I think it's a valid point. It's really what firm you want to set. I think that doing something like 60 days could be really short, but maybe something in the middle. I think when you do look at these as far as an employee who gets it, sometimes they forget when a year later, the second half of it comes around. So I think that could be a valid point. So I couldn't tell you whether it'll increase, decrease, that sort of thing, but I wouldn't see an issue with shortening it, just not too short.
No.
6 months.
I would think though that the probation, if they don't survive probation, then the bonus is counterproductive. New council member Clappy, you have your.
I'll just say, when employer refers another employee, the onus is on the hiring manager. So at the end of the day, the employee has done their job and we appreciate them for that. And if we hire the wrong person, then that's not really on them. So I agree with Chief White, somewhere in the middle sounds a little bit better. So I hope you give it 6 months.
We'd like to leave that to the discretion of the city manager who's going to administer it.
I think this is a policy that we need to set some standards on. And personally, I think that I'm okay with shortening this some, but not too much.
We're in the question period actually, so I think we need to open this to public comment if we don't have any other questions for council. Is there any public comment?
we do have one public comment. One moment. Cheryl Allman.
Yes, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I am welcome to all of you who have recently joined the council or returned. I appreciate your services as well as those of you who are there. I like the idea of at least thinking about probation period, because that is a combination of us looking at each other and making sure that the performance or the talents all fit together. So I'm in favor of incentives. A year may be too long, but I think if you don't get through probation, there's got to be some consideration that the city's already paid you a component. Isn't that the way that you're saying this works? You get a piece up front and then a piece somewhere down the line. And if so, I'll leave it to you to make that decision, but I do like the idea of having it closer to probation periods. And I'm thinking that it sounds like from the discussion that some jobs have longer or shorter duration probation periods. So we need staff, whatever we need to do. I recognize we need to take that road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Any other public comment?
There's no further public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Bring this back to council for further deliberation and action. Do you have your, yes, go ahead, Councilmember.
Okay, so just to clarify, Cheryl, we're talking about a referral bonus, not the hiring bonus. The hiring bonus will stay as is. We were just talking about the referral from an employee referring somebody, which is definitely not as much as the hiring bonus. And so I feel on the hiring bonus, I agree that they did their job. And if we don't do ours, that's really not their fault. So I agree to shorten that so that they get their bonus. And then not to be confused with the hiring bonus. So
from a year to 6 months?
yes, I think that's, I think 6 months is a good in between. So
I agree.
All right, any other deliberation? Shall we entertain a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution consider the resolution number 2020-62, a resolution of the City Council and the City of Clearlake approving the hiring bonus and referral incentive program with the exception that the referral bonus, the second part of the referral bonus would be paid after 6 months.
second.
Okay, motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin and seconded by Councilmember Overton. Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdom.
Aye.
Councilmember Claffey.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to what we're all been waiting for. This time, we will hear the appointment of the 2021 mayor and vice mayor. I'd like to speak to that. Usually I wait till the end, but at this point, Vice Mayor Slotin has been training for this position for a year and 8 months now. And I support him for the position of mayor for the 2021 year. The vice mayor position is a little tougher for me. I've worked with new council member Clappy. I'm not going to include you in this part of the recommendation because you're just here. But both council member Overton and council member Purdock have served in the capacity of mayor. Council member Overton has been here for many, many years. I value her counsel and seek it very often. In her position as at the senior center, her advocacy for the seniors and helping them and helping the disadvantaged and disabled has been extremely valuable to this city and community. Councilmember Purdock has also served this city and both in the planning commission and on city council. 2 different runs on the council. He's a person that I also deeply respect and seek his counsel often. He's been a leader. Both of you have been leaders. And I've given a lot of thought. I've gone back and forth. Council member Overton, your running of the senior center has been a huge job for you. You've done that well. Your focus has been on seniors, and it's on helping seniors and disabled, and you've done a very admirable job at that. Council member Purdock, his leadership has been a little more widespread. His focus has been a little wider, including our economic development more. Not that you haven't, but I think that you have. He has been more. His focus has actually been, I think, on a wider level. And I think looking at it from my perspective, I think the more you know about all of the aspects that are going on in the city, Vice Mayor Slotin has been very involved in many different things. And I have complete confidence in him going forward as mayor. My recommendation for Vice Mayor would be Councilmember Purdock. So that's what I had to say. And I'm open.
Are you putting that into a motion?
You may.
No, I said, are you putting that into a motion?
Yeah, I will make that into a motion.
Can he do that?
Pardon me?
He can make the motion. I mean, usually the motion is one for the mayor and a separate motion for vice mayor. So why don't we handle the mayor first?
All right, I entertain a motion for mayor, Vice Mayor Dirk Slotin for the 2021 year.
Second.
I'm not sure who got that first.
Well, I was gonna say I'll second it, but he said second, so whichever one you choose.
Well, I will accept Councilmember Overton's second. So there's been a motion and a second made. May we roll call, please?
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Claffey.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sluman.
I think I have to abstain on this.
There you go.
You can say you can say I accept.
Accept.
I accept.
And Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Welcome.
And
2020 mayor.
I want to thank the council and especially Mayor Kramer. We've known each other now for quite some time, and he has guided this council to sometimes some delicate votes, but always done with great honor. So thank you very much for your service as mayor. Thank you. Yeah, you have done the city very well.
I appreciate that. Now, if I may, I'd like to make a motion that Councilmember Purdock be appointed vice mayor for the 2021 year.
Second that.
Okay, motion has been made by myself and seconded by Councilmember Overton. May we have a roll call?
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Claffey.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sluman.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. 2021 Vice Mayor Purdock, do you want to say anything?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the job you've done. I echo what Vice Mayor, now Mayor Slotin has offered, and I look forward to the coming year. We have a lot of work to do.
We do have a lot of work to do. We've
A lot of exciting work coming.
We've accomplished a lot so far, and I think we're moving, as Matt's report said at the beginning of the meeting, I think we have a lot of exciting times ahead of us. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us also. But I think we're up to the task. And I look forward to 2021. And I will not be any less involved city manager for it than I am right now, so.
I'm not sure if that was an apology or
I'm sorry.
a warning.
All right. No, let's see, well, he's up next, so he can build that in. City manager and council member reports.
I'd like to start by immediately offering my resignation letter.
You took it hot turn really quick.
I could expect you to do that if I was elected mayor.
No, thank you and congratulations to both of you. Look forward to working with you all, of course, over the next year. So a few things. I'm sure most of you have kind of kept your eye on the news today related to COVID and the governor's statements, but just a summary of a few of the key points. So the state's now been divided into 5 new regions. We're in the Northern California region with Del Norte, Glenn, Humboldt, Lassen, Mendocino, Modoc, Shasta, Siskiyou, Tehama, and Trinity counties. What this means is that basically it's tied to the ICU capacity within that region, and when less than 15% of those ICU beds are available, within, as I understand, 48 hours, there will be a regional stay-at-home order for that region. It'll be in effect for 3 weeks. And everyone will, I mean, it's going to be pretty similar to the sort of initial stay-at-home order that happened. You know, there's a lot of details on the state website on what that means, but, you know, restaurants only takeout, pickup, or delivery. We're essentially looking at essential travel and essential workers only. One thing that's interesting is that schools that are already open for in-person learning would not be affected even by this. So anyway, that's the brief update. We'll try to keep you guys updated if we get any additional information. I did want to add related to this that we had a report on a briefing call this morning from Public Health that they have referred a number of businesses within Lake County to the state for non-compliance of various regulations related to COVID. It was initially reported that 2 of those businesses were within the city of Clearlake. We were not aware that that was the case, and so after a little bit of follow-up, we found out that that information actually was not correct. And I think there's 10 or 12 businesses within Lake County, but none of those businesses were within the city of Clearlake that were referred. Essentially, it sounds like Public Health is asking the state to help try and gain compliance. But just want to let you know if you heard something out there, according to the Health Services Director, no Clearlake businesses were. Okay, in related news, which you already know, the Christmas parade unfortunately was canceled due to the issues surrounding COVID. So it's unfortunate to have that happen. A few other things. You know, it's very unfortunate, very disappointing, both professionally and personally, with the level of effort and investment the city has put into Austin Park over the last year and a half. We're struggling with a number of instances of vandalism in the park still. Some of our drinking fountains have been broken. The new bathrooms have seen some significant vandalism on the interior of those. You know, we did put a new automatic locking system on those doors, and all new doors, I mean, you know, they're completely renovated inside. And so in discussions with Dale and his team, what we're doing now is when the parks crew leaves work at 4 p.m., they're actually locking those doors. Folks have been using different things to kind of jimmy the doors so that they could get in later and whatnot. So I'm working with Chief White and Public Works, and we're working on a few options. We're going to get some security cameras located there. Found that often makes a big difference. And I think possibly look at some additional lighting, but I just wanted to let all of you know, it's possible that there will be some complaints about that, but it's almost dark by that time anyway, at this time of year, but it's disappointing to see that. But once we get that straightened out a little bit, then we'll be repairing some of the new stuff that was recently installed. I've mentioned this a few times, and there's been a couple of delays, but we are moving forward with the Highlands Park planning process. And so just want to rehash this again and again, because I expect that there'll be some comments from the community about why are we going through this planning process? We already did this. But the grant through state parks actually requires a very specific public input process. And so we're required to kind of do this over. We expect that most aspects of the park design that we currently have will continue to move forward, but if there's additional input that we get, especially if it's specifically gives better scoring on our grant, we're working with a grant consultant that's guiding through this process. And there's a number of partnerships that they specifically want to see. One of our identified partners on this project has to be a health organization. So we've invited, of course, Adventist Health and Tribal Health as well to participate in the process. And so, you know, arts and culture, we've invited the tribe and various art organizations to participate in the planning process directly. Anyway, so, you know, it could be an exciting thing. It's going to be a little odd with the COVID situation. We are planning on still having an in-person meeting on site on Saturday. There'll be 3 one-hour sessions, so we kind of split it up so a fewer number of people could attend. This will all be held outdoors, socially distanced, and masks will be required and that type of thing. But the landscape architect felt that it was really important to provide the opportunity for those who maybe don't visit the park that often to kind of see what the conditions on the ground are like and maybe visualize some ideas that they may have to be willing to share. But then there'll be multiple Zoom town halls or workshops after that people can attend virtually. And so all of you got a flyer on that today, and we're putting things out on social media and stuff like that. But anyone who you think might be interested, feel free to share that information. And Melissa set up a whole web page on our website specific to this project. Just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. We got involved at the request of the County Public Services Director, which runs the landfill, about a bill that kind of slipped through. I won't go into details on it. It's kind of an odd thing where there was a requirement that was set to expire. A bill was passed by the legislature to extend that, and then the governor ended up vetoing it. But the important thing is that treated wood waste, as the law currently stands, has to be treated as hazardous waste and cannot be dumped in our landfill, and has to go to a approved landfill for hazardous waste. And the concern that we have and some other folks have is, you know, I mean, it has the potential to drive up costs, but one thing that really concerns us is it is likely to result in additional illegal dumping of that type of material within the city, which is then going to be even more expensive than normal for us to clean up. And so there's been a pretty good mobilization on this. The League of Cities, CSAC, our waste hauler, a number of them around the state have sent a letter to the state secretary overseeing this, and we're hopeful to see some action on that. But I just wanted to let the council know about that issue. Another one is AB 1486 related to our requirements for dealing with surplus land. You know, the city's in a position where we actually have a lot of land that we're trying to do projects on. Without going into an enormous amount of details on this, this requires us to offer almost all land to be used for affordable housing first. And, you know, there's some indication in the law that even regardless of zoning on that property that would preclude affordable housing, we are still required to negotiate on that. And as you can imagine, with all the projects we have going on, it's not that we aren't against affordable housing, but this provides a lot of complications. And so we've been working with our legal team, the League of Cities, Senator McGuire's office, the mayor spoke with the senator about this, and we're cautiously optimistic that we may be able to help get some cleanup language pushed through on that, but wanted to make everyone aware of that. Another thing coming, the vice mayor may bring this up in future agenda items, but Golden State Water Company is looking at doing an additional rate increase. And so that application is before the Public Utilities Commission. There has been over the last, 2019, 2020, and 2021, there's been a total of just over 16% rate increase. They're looking for another 30% increase from 2022 to 2024. It's already some of the highest rates in the city. And so the vice mayor obviously wanted to bring this forward and have discussion and have the council consider sending some correspondence about that to the Public Utilities Commission. It looks like we have until late January to submit those comments to the administrative law judge. So just wanted to let the council know this is something that Supervisor Sabatier has been involved in, has given us some information on, but we're planning to bring something for the council to consider related to that. You're familiar with the city's sponsorship of the bulk of the grand prize for One Team, One Dream, which is sort of designed to be like a local Shark Tank business competition. There's 6 finalists. 2 of those finalists are Clearlake-based businesses, one being Lisa Wilson with Clearlake Campground and Lamb Printing. And so the final pitch on those from all those businesses and the selection from the judges is going to be this Sunday on December 6th. So excited to see how our businesses do in that competition. And one of our other business owners, Dennis Darling, is one of the judges on that and has provided a lot of insight and his experience and training to all of the applicants throughout the process. So it's pretty neat to see that all happen. We've applied for funds that there's several allocations that have been made available. They're all focused on helping create housing in the city. SB2 funds, which we're using, one to support our downtown plan project that we're working on. We're actually paying for the bulk of our zoning ordinance overhaul with those funds, which is allowed. And we're going to be looking at some streamlined permitting software. And then also there's LEAP funds that we're using to help support our homestead program. So we found out that there's another set of funds called REAP, which is supposed to be regionally focused. This allocation is through the Area Planning Council. So we're working with them. They've split that allocation up between the 2 cities and the county. We'll be submitting some ideas for projects to them. They're going to apply, but we'll be a little bit over $50,000 that we'll be able to put to some of the housing initiatives that we have. You're aware, I think, of the development on the county-owned property off of 18th Avenue, the 15-acre piece, and it's going to be part of a property swap with the state, and the state's going to end up owning that property. They've been going through sort of a public bidding process to find developers there, hopefully for both affordable and market rate housing on that site. They sent the RFP, or they're going to be sending the RFP out. They're going to be releasing it on Friday, tomorrow. So excited about that going out. It sounds like there's at least 3 national development firms that have expressed interest in this site as part of one of several across the state that fall under the governor's executive order. So they'll basically be doing like a free ground lease to a developer to help encourage these projects to happen. Was told this week that one of the developers, a large, very qualified national developer, the Clearlake site is the only one that they're bidding on. Some of these folks are bidding on multiple of the sites in California. So the state's expecting to award to a developer probably in late February, early March. So anyway, that's moving forward and looking good. Just 2 more things. One, we have talked with the council previously about the implementation of vehicle license plate scanning technology, which we've had a few small setups in the city over the last couple of months that Chief White has kind of cobbled together as he does. And we have identified a number of stolen vehicles from that. And then there was the larger project that included well, there's a total of 12 cameras, 8 of which are being paid for by the city, focused on the Clearlake Park area. Those were all installed and active by mid-morning yesterday. So that's really exciting to have that done. Chief White said that in the middle of, well, early morning hours, we identified our first stolen vehicle that was picked up on multiple cameras there, and they were able to make an arrest on that. And so we're gonna be waiting on getting 30 days of data from that system. And so in late January, we'll bring that data as well as a more detailed demo back to the council so you can see the technology, and then probably also be requesting that the council allow us to add additional cameras to literally ring hopefully the entire city. And then the final thing is we have a couple of items. So this is the last meeting scheduled for the year. We have a couple of items that we believe need to be addressed before the end of the year. So we would like to see about having a special meeting on December 17th at 2 p.m. So I'm hoping we can get confirmation from at least the majority of you that you would be available at that time for probably no more than a 1 hour meeting. It is a Thursday.
December 17th, you said?
2 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
I'm on.
Correct. And that's my report.
Thank you, City Manager Laura. Our tradition is to let the new man go first on the council reports. So, have at it.
I'm just eager here to have this platform to talk about all the cool events we're going to be doing. Kind of stole my thunder with One Team, One Dream. Big, obviously it's your thunder too, but I just wanted to congratulate Land Printing and Lisa Wilson. I hope you guys do really well this weekend. The Great Holiday Light Fight is the response to the canceled parade. Basically, it's a residential decoration contest. We want homes lit up brightly, and we have some prizes that are going to be associated with that. If you want to sign up on Downtown Clearlake, you can do that.
Is that just for downtown?
No, that's for any home within the city of Clearlake.
It was somewhat confusing when it says right downtown, but it's open everywhere. I read that too.
I'll go in and tweak the language now, for sure. Really, the only other thing I wanted to say was thank you all to the folks who have trusted me to be in this position. I also want to thank Phil Harris. I didn't get to say it while he was here, but he's made quite an impact on this community and me personally. And while there's always turnover, former council members set the bar, and he has set it incredibly high. So I appreciate that, and thank you, and thank all of you. Can't wait to work with you.
Thank you, Councilmember Flappy. Councilmember Purduck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really quickly, as quickly as I can, I have several items. I also want to thank the City of Clear Lake Police Department. I received a call from a gentleman who's a manager of a rental business outside of the city. They had a ping from a stolen generator, and he asked me if I could go out and check a site and address we had in the avenues, which I did, confirmed it was there, and literally within minutes of making the report, Officer Eagle was on site and making the recovery. So thank you for the swift efforts on that and your team, Chief. We had a PEG meeting scheduled, but that was canceled until the first of the year. I also want to express my disappointment that we're not going to have our Clear Lake Christmas Light Parade this year. That was a real difficult call to make. We didn't want to have to bring Santa all the way down from the North Pole just for kids to see him at afar and wave. And for everyone's health sakes, of course, we want to make sure that we're following the rules and applying them appropriately. I wanted to remind the council that I joined the council 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, this body brought the option of invoking the Spirit and open prayer. And I think the city has really experienced a real upturn in the past 6 years. And I want to recognize the leadership then and through these past 6 years. I think this body has done some pretty incredible things. And just looking around at our new chambers and the roads are being paved, it's just really an exciting time. And I'm excited to sit in the new position as vice mayor. So thank you again for your trust in that appointment. Last, I want to close on Hope Center is now open, and we have had, as of this morning, 6 formerly homeless residents in there. We'll have 10 by the end of the week. It's just amazing to see. And I want to thank this council and the leadership for seeing the vision and putting a program now in place, using appropriate funding to see that and see it through the fruition. So kudos to our building department planning for getting that through. I'd like to thank the city manager for making that as smooth as could be with a lot of hurdles. And also our Lake County Fire Protection District, the fire marshal who replaced former Battalion Chief Diener is doing a fantastic job and has a great vision. So Corey Smith. Yeah, thank you very much. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Freeland. Councilmember Wood.
I been working on some grants to help with our community center and meeting with Alan and kind of going over some things I have. And we can cross our fingers, and it would be nice if we got it. Applied for a $100,000 grant to help with maybe making a park area over there and some equipment. PG&E just give me $7,500 to help with some equipment, to outdoor equipment over there. So that will, I know the Rotarians and stuff have been working on that. So hopefully that will help us get some equipment out over there in that area for our seniors and disabled. Hopefully we can get a freezer and some storage over there also. So I also like to reiterate everybody, this whole, basically I've been here for 16 years. So the changeover from the attitude of when I started here was, not good. It was our city was really detrimental, and our staff was, the police department was the police department, the city was the city. They weren't combined. I see that we have all come together. Out of the 16 years, I feel that we've had some of the best staffing we have ever had. And I just really say that you guys all work as a team. We all work as a team. It's enjoyable to come to the council. It's enjoyable to come in and sit down and be able to talk. You guys all do a fantastic job. We've been lucky to have a city attorney that stuck with us. That he was so good that we changed our meetings. So we don't want to ever lose a good city attorney. We've been through a few, and some of them, are not so good. So I'm glad that, you chose to stick with us, and we chose to stick with you. So it's been great. We have some great new employees. I really look forward to, working with you, Mark. I think we've needed that position for a while, and I'm really glad that we finally got to fill it. And I hope I'm glad you're a Lake County person and that you're willing to stay here. So it's been my pleasure to sit with all of you guys and even the turnovers. And David, I know that, we've worked together already, and I definitely look forward to you being on our council. And I know you have some really great innovative ideas. And I really look forward to seeing that. You've already brought a lot of it to us through the marketing committee. And I definitely look forward to seeing you on the council here, bring some of your great ideas forward to the city and moving forward. And I'm glad to be the partner here with everybody. Thank you guys all for putting up with me sometimes. So I appreciate it. I'm sorry that we didn't get to say something when Phil was here, because I definitely had some things to say to him, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get to. Yeah, but he's been a great council. He is a great community leader on and off the council, no doubt. He was a great community leader before he came here, and joining our team has brought some great insights, I think, to all of us. And I know he's going to continue to be a great leader in our community. But I just really wanted to thank him. He has always been there for me, and I'm sure for all of us, and very incisive when he looks at things, and I'm going to miss that part of it. So I hope he still participates in our council meetings and continues to give us that insight as our supervisor Sabatier has. I hope he continues to do the same, because we can use, everybody's ideas are always good, that we can look at things in different ways. So I'm happy for him to move on to his new adventure, and I know he's kind of excited to move on to his new adventure. And so I wish him well in his coming years on things that he's going to be doing, and any other communities that he ends up at. We'll be lucky to have him. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rosen. Vice Mayor Slaughter.
Also, a shout out to the police department. They also recovered a stolen trailer that was in my possession that was actually owned by a former supervisor. After 8 months, 9 months, again, I guess also that was through the license plate recognition. It was awesome. I did not attend the marketing meeting, so I'm sure that David will mention that, but I did attend the LAFCO meeting. We approved the MSR for the Knockdown Water District, and we added a little bit to their sphere of influence, although today we received a letter that somewhat might be contested by another water district. The Canuck big project, the CEQA process has been litigated. There's a challenge to that. We haven't seen much out of that. Also, the South Lake Port project annexation, that's still going through its steps. And then the cemetery districts are being required to do, or in the process of preparing an MSR. Because, as you know, a lot of the cemetery districts are financially very unstable, unstable financially. So that's it. And I do want to thank Mayor Freeman for making the motion and having the trust in me to lead you next year. Also, Alan already stated that we hopefully can put on the agenda the Golden State Water rate increase, because I think that will again hinder development. And we're one of the districts, one of the cities that's mostly financially impacted. So we need to see if we can do that. The other thing is our Rotary dinner still kind of up in the air. We have to make a call probably Monday whether or not we're proceeding on that, especially now since the latest directives from the state came in. So there will be a discussion on Monday to determine whether or not we're going to go forward that or not, because the food needs to be bought and all that kind of stuff. So we'll make the decision on Monday on that. That's my report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Slaughter. Going to be Mayor. My reports, I got a couple things. As City Manager Flora stated, I had a Zoom meeting with Senator McGuire last Saturday morning. Two things were on the agenda. The one was to discuss fire mitigation measures in Clear Lake, hopefully, what the state can do and what they are trying to do. He has indicated that they've actually increased their going from inmate crews helping CAL FIRE out to CCC, and they're bolstering that force. If they're looking at, let's say, 20 or 30,000 people in that. They're also have another program in which they're going to be hiring at a starting salary of $19 an hour or prevailing wage in those cases where they have to use it to enhance the fire mitigation efforts. If that program is somehow in conjunction with the utilities, primarily PG&E. So that hopefully will bring more prescribed burning and vegetation management to areas around the city, not necessarily in the city. I think City Manager Flora is working with CAL FIRE on one that possibly might be in the city. We can talk about that. The other part, of course, is that I asked them for support for the problem, or potential problem that AB 1486 may bring to the city. It's a matter, I think, of, in my mind, the definition of what excess or surplus properties are, but Attorney Jones tells me it's much more involved than that, and City Manager Flora does as well. So at any rate, I had a long discussion with Senator McGuire on that. I asked him for his support. We could explain to him the projects that we have going that will enhance the city. We'll actually have projects included in his own, which will give affordable housing, which is the focus of 1486. And then we also have a project in the works that will add 200 to 300 units of low-income housing, I think he said. So did we have that? And my explanation is that we have more than probably more than our quota of income, of low-income housing that we needed market rate. And I told them what we were doing or looking at in a couple of our projects, 29 acres included. Because, you know, we need, in addition to the low income, we need affordable housing. Through that with him. And I said, but mostly what we need to combat our homeless problem and our low income earnings, that's 29,000 a year is our annual average. We need jobs. And I said, for that, we need economic development, and 1486 could be a real detriment in all of those cases. He promised to give us help with that. We'll wait and see how that works. Supervisor Sabatier and I have been doing an informal, we didn't want to call it a task force, did we, Manager? But we believe that that there's a real opportunity to bring more fishing tournaments to Clear Lake, which will bring potential, a lot of potential for increased revenue to the city, and with some of the projects that we have in place, hotels that we're hoping to build, and hopefully restaurants that Matt is going to bring to us. We're started talking with various individuals connected with fishing tournaments to see what it is that they want and what they need, what they'd like to have. And at some point in the next few weeks or months, we'll come back to City Manager Flora and possibly to this council and report on that. And that brings only one item left here. My time as mayor. I've been truly humbled to have been chosen by this council to be your mayor. I've enjoyed the time, and I hopefully have contributed to this city. I want the best of this city, and I think hopefully I gave that. But it was my privilege to serve this council, to serve the staff of the city. I think we have the greatest staff on both sides of the aisle. Our police department is improving every day. You brought us into the 21st century, Chief Light. City Manager Flora, you've done the same thing on this side. And I truly appreciate all that all of you have done, and all of the staff of the city has done over the last, I've been on the council now for nearly 3 years. I think we've been a great council, I believe. I think we have all the components for that to continue. We have exciting things in our future. We have challenges in our future. But I think this council is forward-looking. And I think that we're going to continue to improve. And I think we have the staff of the city that will put our ideas and our visions into reality, into place. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 years on council and maybe beyond. And I thank you again from the bottom of my heart for letting me be your mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to bring up?
But I think Alan already.
The water.
The Golden State water district. Yeah.
All right, anyone else?
I think we'll cruise into the holidays from my perspective. Hit it hard first of the year.
Okay. So we have that one agenda item, that's all. We will now.
During closed session.
Close the open session. Going close. At 8:25.